Chapter 5. Two men in sharp black suits, flanked by two rugged stuntmen, knocked on Joe's door. Joe, half asleep, muttered under his breath, "They never even came for the scooter." Before he could protest, they escorted him into a sleek car and drove him to a towering glass building, the headquarters of a world-famous stunt company. Inside, Joe found himself surrounded by hardened stuntmen, scarred and muscular, their eyes narrowing as they sized him up. One scoffed, "Who let this guy in? He looks like an accountant, not a daredevil." Another muttered, "This is dumb. He won't last a day." But their manager, a sharp-eyed man in a tailored suit, silenced them with a wave. He shook Joe's hand firmly and leaned in. "Joe, your stunts, your ability to survive, it's unlike anything we've ever seen. The world has never witnessed something like you. We can turn this into something bigger. Fame, money, recognition. You could do things no one else can. But you'll have to work with us, follow our plans. Think of this as your chance to finally have purpose." Joe hesitated, then slowly nodded. A stuntman's suit was placed in his hands. As he slipped into it, he whispered to himself, voice trembling, "Is this what I was meant to be?" That night, Joe's debut began. Under blinding lights and roaring crowds, he rode a motocross bike, flipping through the air with reckless abandon. Then drove through rings of fire, only to crash, burn, and collapse in the arena. Gasps echoed. The audience screamed in horror, until a sudden angelic shield flashed, and Joe rose from the flames, alive. The announcers' voices cracked in disbelief as they boomed through the speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen, what did we just witness? He's alive! He got back up!" The world erupted. Conspiracy theorists whispered about secret government technology. Project Lazarus, he's their weapon. The non-religious demanded scientific testing, while the devout fell to their knees, calling Joe proof of divinity itself. The company pushed him harder. They saw more than stunts. They saw possibility. Soon, Joe found himself strapped into a spacecraft, the mission, Jupiter. Cameras watched as the rocket launched into the heavens. Then, an explosion tore through the vessel. The world held its breath. The headlines wrote his obituary, "Slow Joe, dead at last." But out of the smoke, out of the impossible, he returned. Respawned, breathing, standing, alive. And in that moment the world knew Slow Joe was no longer just a man, he was a phenomenon. The world crowned Joe Newton a legend. Cameras flashed as Guinness World Records declared him the first and only immortal human. Crowds cheered, news anchors shouted his name, and entire arenas roared at his survival. Slow Joe, standing at the center of it all. His face remained hollow, empty, as though all the applause belonged to someone else. Inside, he wondered why he felt nothing at all. But in the shadows of the crowd, another man watched, Slow Morbius. His jaw tightened, his eyes filled with something between disbelief and rage. Morbius had once been the name. In the 1990s, he ruled television screens, performing stunts that no one dared dream of, leaping from helicopters onto moving trains, crashing cars through burning barricades, driving motorcycles off skyscrapers, and walking away with only scars. He was fearless, adored, and unstoppable. Fame brought him money, but what he valued most was his family. He cherished his wife. He lived for his son. For a time, life felt full, but time is cruel. His body aged, his son grew distant, his wife drifted away. The spotlight dimmed, the cheers faded, and now the world had replaced him with another, Joe Newton, a man who did not even want the fame, a man who didn't earn it through broken bones, but through an unexplainable gift, immortality. As Joe respawned again and again, the headlines erased Morbius. The man who once defined an era became nothing more than a forgotten relic. His wife left, his son moved away, and the silence of his home grew unbearable. Loneliness took root. Loneliness turned to bitterness, and bitterness twisted into something darker. Watching Joe stand there, lifelessly adored by millions, Morbius felt the spark of hatred ignite. He couldn't stand it, not anymore. Not watching everything he built crumble because of this hollow man who refused to die. Confused and consumed by revenge, Morbius began making calls, reaching out to the kind of people Joe could never imagine facing, criminals, mercenaries, those hungry for chaos. And in that moment, Slow Morbius's comeback began. Not in stunts, not in glory, but in vengeance.